Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 73 of Powerbombshells. I am Sam. That is Mel. We are not your typical broads talking about your typical wrestling. And I am coming to you from very rainy Charlotte. Just started pouring down rain right before we went on air.
It's raining in here too, hon. It's annoying. I finally got, I literally had the lawnmower outside yesterday.
Uh-huh.
I was like, I got it all started and it's battery operated. So I'm like, whatever. And I'm like, it's all good and everything looks great and it's nice and cool finally so I don't die. Literally, I get my earbuds, I come back outside, it starts sprinkling.
Oh,
like,
no.
You got to be kidding me right now.
Of course.
So
what a pain.
We're never, ever going to be able to actually mow the lawn. It's just going to keep growing wild.
That's all right. You know,
but, I mean, I guess it's good for the
technically
pollinators.
supposed to do. It's supposed to grow.
Yeah, well, no, I mean it's good. It's just we don't want the ticks and everything.
Yeah.
So, this has been Lawn Moment with Powerbombshells.
Yes, that is our. We don't have candles and things to talk about this week.
Outdoor living segment.
Yes. Well, there's lots of comments over on the side that they are they're a little chatty before we got here, which we also always appreciate. So Daza said that he thought your hat was going to be a green knitted beanie. And then Brad said he thought it was going to be a large brimmed fancy-ish hat.
And then I have one of those.
But also Brad is here for just a little bit before he is going to JCW, which is awesome. So, because you get to see Utami today, right? That's gonna. I
saw a party. He told me about it in the Discord actually, and I told him that we appreciate any time that he can give to the show. So.
Absolutely, and it. I heard. I haven't seen GCW from last night yet, but I heard that Billy and Utami had a phenomenal match. I kept seeing so many people praising it and talking about how amazing both of them are. So I cannot wait to check that out. And then Brad, that's who he's going to see today. Oh, that's so cool that you get to see her. I've never seen her before, but I've heard so many amazing things about her. And I actually covered her last year when I was covering I was doing a Women's History Spotlight last March of 2022. I covered different women, and she was one of the women I wrote about. So that's really cool to see that she's here. Oh no, Daza said he drove home from the cinema in the worst storm I've ever been out in. Well, I'm glad that you made it home okay and that you're here with us today.
Seriously, it's a good thing climate change is a myth. Am I right?
Right.
Jeez.
Yeah. Well, have fun today, Brad. And I can't wait to see. I hope you get to meet her. I know you're saying that you weren't sure. So hopefully you get to. But even if you don't get to, you get to see an amazing show, it sounds like, or at least a really good match. So that's exciting.
Live wrestling is always really, really fun.
It is. Yeah.
It's really, really hard. It's like wrecking pizza or something. Like you can't. It's so hard. You have to work so hard to really wreck it. I feel like just because there's a good vibe.
Yeah, and speaking of live wrestling, that'll just segue right into the next thing. I went to live wrestling on Friday night. Title Belt Pro had their show at the Free Range Brewing, which is where they normally have their shows, and it was fun. They typically do 6 matches, but this time they did 5, and I think it was because we thought the main event might go a little bit longer, but it went like an even half an hour, but that's probably all it needed, but I'll get to that in a second. So one of the matches though that they had was the first match. I don't know that this match has ever happened anywhere ever other than here. So
did I put this up too soon? Or?
No, this is perfect. And we'll talk about this one first. So this match is between Elijah Proctor and Brittany Jade. Brittany Jade has actually, if you watch Dark or Elevation, she was on there a few times. And if I'm not mistaken, JD Drake trains her. Or has trained her. But so Brittany and Elijah are a real life couple. They come out. They're each wearing Taylor Swift shirts, which you can hopefully see in the photo. Well, then,
I like this view better.
So then they take off their shirts to reveal another Taylor Swift shirt that they each were wearing. And so they were like, so Ethan Case is the one in the middle. He is the GM. And he said, well, I've never put a stipulation match out between a couple before. So, we wanted to figure something out. And so they were going back and forth about like, well, you say it and you say it. So at the same time, they were going to do like, I guess if Brittany won, this would be her stipulation. And if Elijah won, it would be his stipulation. And then they're like, well, we'll say it at the same time. So they both say, loser buys Taylor Swift tickets.
Uh-huh.
So that's what it ended up being. And it was a really fun match. And Brittany won, but unfortunately she got injured right before the match ended. So they quickly had to end it. Her knee, she was trying to lift him. He's obviously, you can see, is much taller than her. She was trying to lift him up over the rope. Hit her knee wrong, and he actually had to carry her off from the ring.
Oh, that's not good.
Before intermission, so it ended up being, luckily they were just able to get right. I did see her a little bit later standing on it, so it looks like she could at least weight on her knee, so hopefully it's nothing too serious, and hopefully they are able to get Taylor Swift tickets because they're really hard to come by and they're super expensive. So.
And they scam the crap out of people all over. She came here to Detroit. This is funny. You'll get a kick out of this. So when we were in Canada, we were in Toronto, one of the things that was on the news was that they were struggling to draw Taylor Swift to Canada. She left Canada off her world tour that she's doing right now. Yeah. And that was like news in Canada.
Yeah, I saw that they're still
like talking about the fact that they feel like it's like we don't have big enough venues for her and things like that. And they're just like, it was like a national
I saw that. Yeah, I saw something about
Hilarious.
how Justin Trudeau like tweeted her or something. And
That's
I was
how
like,
big that girl is.
She keeps releasing dates though. Like she just released like 7 more dates earlier this week. Like I was like, relax. I'm sure she's coming.
They were really unhappy on the news.
She has like a couple in Australia, and I think she just she's added more to like Milan, or like she added like 7. She keeps adding more dates, so I'm sure Canada will be fine.
There's better times to go to Canada. Like Paul even talks about this, and because he's from there, and Dr. Pre talks about this a lot in the Discord. Is like, it's just like here in the Midwest. This is the nice time of year, so we're out doing things. We're not. We don't want to go to. We don't want to be inside buildings. We want to be. Especially on weekends, people go up to camp and up north and, over to the beach and whatever, because there's a short window for us that the weather is actually nice and tolerable.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. Yeah.
So it's tricky. You've got to. So I get it. Taylor's smart. I'm sure she's coming when everyone's stuck. They have no choice. And then she'll pack she can play like 3 of they have like 18 Scotiabank centers and 13 Rogers centers all over the provinces. So she can play one of those.
Yeah, I'm sure she's coming. I think she just hasn't released the dates yet because her tour is going into next year because she obviously, because of the pandemic, she didn't get to tour at all. So she's basically hitting everywhere. So it's like, I think it's coming. You can relax. Canada.
Okay, Canada.
All right. It'll be all right.
I don't think she hates you. I think that she just hasn't gotten there yet.
Yeah, she'll get there.
The girl's touring the world for literally
yeah.
Give her a break. And that was our Taylor Swift music.
Yes. And so there's some other fun matches. Like there was a match between King's Gate, which is Mason Miles and Donnie. I don't have pictures of them, but I mean you can switch to this. This is fine. And so but the 3 of them, Ethan made them wrestle each other, and they didn't want to wrestle each other because they're in a faction. So they had a script. And they were each checking their script, and they're like, "Oh, okay."
That's
and
hilarious.
they were just like very comedically fighting each other. And then Ethan they went to put somebody in a body slam, and they're like, "No, that's not in the script." And he's like, "Hang on, I'll check." So he's like holding him over his shoulder, and the other one's like, "I'll check the script and see." And it was like, "No, there's no body slams in the script." And then Ethan came out. He'd had enough, and he was like, "No." He was like, "Well, the winner of this match will put in," because there's a big tournament that they're doing for the first title belt pro title. And so the winner of that match, so then they took it seriously, of course, and but the whole match was a lot of fun. And Chance yesterday, because I posted some pictures from it, and Chance quote tweeted me and said it was the match of the year, and he wouldn't hear any argument saying otherwise. But then the main event, which was why, I mean, I would have been at Title Belt anyway, because I love those guys and I love their shows are always fun. But the main reason that many of us were there was because we were getting the return of Sean Legacy, who has been in Noah for the last, I believe he was there for 3 months, and then Speedball Mike Bailey, which it is insane to me that I saw Speedball Mike Bailey in a brewery with like 70 people.
I love that.
I was like, this man just came from BOSJ a couple months ago, and he's out here, and he's like, they're having a match like they're in Japan. Like, they just went full force the entire time. So they ended up making it the day before it was announced that it was going to be a 2 out of 3 falls match, and that they were saying it might go over half an hour. I think we didn't I did set the timer like it was a women's match, but I did pay attention to the time.
Well,
so
sure.
they went like right at a half an hour, which those two killed it, and I don't know that they could have made it past a half an hour because they just went all out. And so like it took 17 minutes to get the first fall, and Sean Legacy got it. Yeah, it's incredible. So this picture that you see here, so the one that was up before is just Speedball had Sean Legacy.
Should I go back to the
no, you can just leave it. And this is Sean Legacy coming.
You tell me when to move forward.
No,
all right.
you can leave this one. So this is Sean Legacy coming out of the hold, and he's got Mike Bailey up on his shoulder and is about to drop him on his head, and I just ended up getting a really good shot. Ended up being Mike's perfect timing. Yeah. But yeah, that match was incredible, and it was probably, I almost said it was the best match I'd seen live this year, but then I also remembered I saw Vikingo versus Gringo Loco at GCW in January. True. So I was like, they might be tied for first, or like a very close 1-2. But still, I was like, it actually might be one of the best matches I've seen this year. Like, it was amazing. And then I think you can go ahead and go to the next picture. It's still more Speedball. And yeah, so this is them after. So they had a false ending, and they did a double count out. That's what it was, because they were outside, and then because it was in a brewery, there were a stack of barrels, and Sean Legacy jumped off of it onto Speedball on the floor. So they're both like laid out. Well, then they get a double count out. And Speedball is like, cool, I'm fine with that. And Sean Legacy is like, no, I'm not, And so he's like, all right, he's like talking to Ethan. And so Ethan's like, no, we're not ending this match until there's a finish. So they went about 5 minutes longer. Speedball got the win, and it was really great. And Sean Legacy was like laid out on the floor, on the mat, and he was like, and Mike said, Sean, and he said, and you could hear a very muffled yeah, because his face is like smashed into the mat. And so they talked about how it was really great. And so Speedball was talking about how when they were both in Japan, basically Sean Legacy slid into his DMs and said, do you want to hang out? And so they did. And they went and got sushi and hung out, and then we're like, we want to wrestle each other. And Sean Legacy contacted people at Title Belt, because Ethan is one of the owners and Ethan is his coach, and they made it happen. So, and here we go. That's how I got to see Speedball Mike Bailey for the first time ever in a brewery. And it was everything that I could have hoped for. And they hinted very strongly at a rematch. Of course, Speedball got the please come back chant. But then I tweeted pictures yesterday, and Sean Legacy quote tweeted it and tagged a bunch of promotions in it. And I was like, wait, it's got to be a promotion over here. Yes, sure, I want it to happen.
You're like, yes, I enjoyed this also. But yeah, so David was really cute, because both of them were retweeting, both Speedball and Sean Legacy retweeting you. And I was just like, this is awesome.
It was, yeah, I was very excited to see that. And so
I was excited that they were excited, that you were excited. And it was just, it was like, us. I love that stuff. That's one of the best parts of like the indie scene. Is like,
I was like,
it's good to see Ian doing Ethan. Sorry, Ian. Ethan doing well.
Yeah, he seems to be. Well. Yeah, he seems to be doing a lot.
Upright,
you can see
doing
him
awesome
in this picture. And there was a few times I watched him, and he just seemed. No, I think there may be.
No, that's
okay.
I
couldn't remember if there was, but Ethan, look. there's another shot. I didn't put it in here, but there's another shot. Ethan just looks so proud of Sean because
That's
that was his
awesome.
student, and he's wrestling one of the best wrestlers in the world, and it was really cool to see. And like I've seen Sean Legacy got announced for the West Coast Pro tournament that's happening in August, and I think that's
Awesome.
a pretty big tournament, and so that's really cool. And so hopefully we'll get them back, and of course I want them to come back because Nikki didn't get to go because
Right.
Nikki is like at the time was like 10 days post surgery, and she was like, there is no way that I can stand or sit for that long. And she was like, I'm doing okay at home, but that's different than being out in public. And it was the last match of the night, and she was just like, and so, and then Doug, our friend Doug, ended up not being able to make it. He was having some health issues as well, some stomach issues, and and so he was just like, I have to skip it. And Speedball, we know who Speedball is because of Doug, and so I was like, I want him to. So I'm hoping they can do this rematch as many times as they would like. Do it in GCW, do it in Impact, do it in Defy, and all the places that you tagged. But please also do it if it's in GCW. I hope it's when GCW comes back to Charlotte. That way, Nikki and Doug can go to.
Yeah, that'd be better.
Yeah, but I did get to talk to him for a few minutes after the show. Well, actually, even before the match was over, like, because Matthew and I had standing tickets, and then a couple friends of ours had chairs, but we were in like the front part, and he was Speedball was going by and shaking each of our hands and thanking us for coming out. And I was like, thank you. Are you kidding me? And so then he was outside afterwards, like he had his merch out, and so I went and talked to him for a few minutes, and he's a super, super nice person.
I believe that.
And he just was everything that I hoped he would be. And so I was really excited. And then I was like, you have to come back because my sister didn't get to see you. And I was like, we were so excited when you were announced. And then I was like, on the one hand, she was very happy because now she has had surgery and is on the road to recovery. And hopefully will be out of pain. But on the other hand, she really, really wanted to see him as well. And so Nikki said, oh, I thought about going anyway, but I knew better. Yeah, we talked about, like, I waited till Thursday to buy tickets, and then I was like, well, what if she can go? And I was like, well, I'll just buy tickets at the door. And then I was like, I know she can't go, but I was like, it was really weird. And we were talking about it. I think she and I started going to indie shows like 11 and a half years ago. And if we remember correctly, there has only been one show that we have not been to together, or now two. But yeah, I was like, and so it feels very weird. Like,
I think I've known you for them both because I think that it happened the first time when we were podcasting.
It was back when yeah, you know what? I think so, because PWX was just barely still running. Like, they had two more shows, and then they have disappeared.
And it was your first time, and we talked about how weird that was. And I totally really get it, because it's like.
And the first one was like a 45-minute drive. So I'm like, oh, this is weird. I was like,
that's even weirder.
Because this one wasn't so bad, because it was like 20 minutes from our house. It's not too bad. But yeah, I was just like, this is weird. And it's because our friends will usually text, like, while we're all on the way to the show, like, hey, I'm on the way, or I'll be here, I'll be here in 15 minutes, or I'm already here, I got our seats. And so usually Nikki will check, because I'm driving, Nikki will check, and we're all in the group. So she'll be like, oh, this is what's happening. And then my text is going off, and I'm like, well, I can't look at it.
She's the navigator.
Yeah. And it was like, this is very weird. Nikki said both were because of my dumb back.
Yeah, but it's good. I mean, the point is that you'll be getting better.
Yeah,
we love you.
So hopefully by the time Speedball comes back, Nikki will not be having back pain, or not nearly as bad as
maybe she'll get to see it on a bigger scene or something.
Maybe
there's so many. The future is endless.
That is true.
The possibilities are out there. Like, well, people are working together. Everybody but the one company are like, yeah, let's hang out.
Yeah,
let's wrestle together. Let's put on massive, weird, like, death matches, and I just go crazy in the middle of the 4th of July week.
Yeah. So Mel and I were talking about the Independence Day shows. Wait, hang on. Brad said we should chip in and get Nikki a robot back.
We should.
Let's do that.
Whatever would help her. If this doesn't work and she just like, and it's going to work, I am all positive vibes about it working.
Yeah, before she had,
we love you.
Before she had surgery, our friend Doug was like, just see if Speedball kick you in the back. Maybe that'll fix it.
There you go. That, you know what? He's like, maybe he does have, I mean, with fighting spirit like that, you never know. He could like heal her with his fighting spirit.
He could.
Like some kind of shaman or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe kind of wrestling shaman.
Yeah, I think, isn't that what John
Morrison... he's wrestled
I was gonna say, wasn't that what John Morrison tried to do when he was that was right, he was the shaman of sexy or whatever.
No, but like this is like legit.
Like a legit, yeah. That's probably what, you know, that's probably something Matt Seidel would
wrestled
do.
more than like anybody I know. It's like, I don't know him, but I mean, I can, anyone I can think of that is out there doing any kind of wrestling stuff. Like he's just constantly booking, constantly taking jobs. Like,
yeah, he wrestled. Like I saw him tweet that he was in the Charlotte airport at 6:30 in the morning, and he then there was a picture later, and it was him and Veda were together, and I think she was doing commentary for the show he was on last night, and then he's wrestling. I think he's wrestling at I don't know. I was gonna say JCW, but I think he's wrestling at GCW today. He's wrestling Mao, I believe. So he's been busy all weekend long. Oh, sorry. So Nikki said that she said that Speedball needs to kick her in the back. Doug said that he needed to give her a backstabber.
There you
go. And Grace said he wants one of those robot backs, and Nikki said robot backs for everybody.
You know, it's,
you know what? If we're already chipping in for one, why I'm sure we can get a deal like a buy one.
I mean, we have like it's such
like
a
75% off or something.
maybe they have like a group like package.
Yeah, and then we'll just save one. So if later on somebody needs one, then
he's had his own back surgery adventure previously. So and I think maybe sometime in the future. Backs are stupid, and I mean, James.
Well, this was Nikki's. I understand this was Nikki's second one since January 2020. So we like. I mean, there's
legitimate empathy and like sympathy there, because it's like it's just it's a pain in the ass. Like, it is literally and figuratively. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, you're right. And Brad did,
but I like jokingly like, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say Brad did confirm that he is at JCW today. Oh, sweet.
Oh, yeah, sweet. So you get to see that.
Against Mao, and he said it was supposed to be Speedball versus Psycho Clown, but he had to pull out, so Mao took his place. Okay, but that's gonna be freaking awesome.
Still fun.
That'll be a great match.
See, Brad gets to like follow up for us. He can tell us how it went, and he'll fill in the gaps a little bit.
Yes.
So, all this great wrestling that we get to see all the time.
Live wrestling rules. Like you said, it's so much fun.
It's so fun.
Excuse me. But yeah, so I think sorry. So Mel and I were talking about Nikki said, I swear once you mess up your back, it's messed up forever.
Yeah,
that's what seems to be the consensus.
True. I mean, I hate to say it, but and I think we should be further along, but we can't get into that. But it's true. I think that there's things that just you can't go back on your back.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately, it's just a weird thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
it is, unfortunately. And then we see that all the time, especially in wrestling, with all these people who are sacrificing their backs.
I can't believe like
the daily.
I have all the I give all the credit in the world to all of these athletes with their back, and I personally I had a knee injury back in the day that has plagued me ever since.
Yeah.
And no matter how much like physical therapy or whatever, it's just never been the same. And it's like, I know it's it's getting worse because you're getting older, and you can feel the thing, and you played the sport, and you know how many times you like pivoted, and it's just like it's going to break down.
Right.
And I see these people like Bryan Danielson, and Okada's had neck and back injuries that like just kind of no one knows about unless you pay really, really hard attention to that.
Right.
And they've been like, I can't believe it. I
Yeah.
think they're even more remarkable because it's like I couldn't move some of the times that I was doing. And then I having experienced it, having my husband having experienced it, understanding like what you guys have been through, where it's like,
Right.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
you guys you're back buddies. You're ouch, my back hurts buddies.
Yeah, definitely.
The ouch my back club over here.
The I need a bacchiotomy club.
Bacchiotomy. Robot backs for everyone. I'm
Yeah,
back to
right.
that.
I think Kyle O'Reilly might sign up for that too.
Hey, there you
And
go.
Thunder Rosa. I hear though that Thunder Rosa there it seems to be progressing well. I was reading some quote the other day from Doc Samson, and they're gonna. I think they've got like they're gonna see how she's doing in about 6 weeks, and she could potentially. She's been pain free for a little bit, and they are like, obviously with backs, you never know. So it sounds like they're gonna check her again in 6 weeks, and then maybe possibly clear her. And then Andrade kind of hinted yesterday that she might be on the way back because Andrade sent a tweet and he was talking about Collision, and he was mentioning names like CM Punk and Miro, and and he said Scorpion, and we couldn't figure out if he meant Sting or Scorpio Sky. But then he did mention Thunder Rosa, and he said maybe she'll come back and get my mask back from Julia. So it sounds like Thunder Rosa is getting close to coming back, and B will be with Andrade, which I think would be a lot of fun. And so
Andrade has like been one of the gems on that show, in my
yeah,
opinion. He's starting to feel like the Andrade back when he was in NXT.
Yeah, I thought that too. Like, and even the pro, because last night, I mean, all he did was have the the backstage segment of like why his mask was important to him, and like I thought, and like it was a really great segment. And I thought the Malachi clip was really great too, and then they went right into that. I think last night was probably it feels like Collision's starting to hit its stride a little bit. Like I know it's only 4 episodes, but I think last night was probably the strongest episode they've had.
I agree with that.
It was a really great episode. I really hate that Athena and Willow could not wrestle.
Yeah.
But I do like the backstage segment they did. That made it feel even more important. I do wish the match was happening on Dynamite and not on Rampage, because I believe Rampage is filmed, from what Paul said, and they will be filmed the same night. I guess they're giving the illusion that they're giving Willow more time to heal up or whatever. But I'm really looking forward to that match. I know it does kind of suck that it's on Rampage, but I'll be watching Rampage regardless, and it gives me something to write about Friday. I'm hoping they at least get the main event spot out of it. And then
I'm doing my best. It's like what we ended up doing yesterday was it's like this week it was Live Dynamite. We watched Rampage the hour before Collision started, or sort of. We gave it a little bit when I came home, because what we did was we gave it a little bit of space so you can do the fast forward through the ads BS.
Oh yeah, same.
So
yeah, that's what Nikki texted me on Friday, and she texted me while I was at the show, and she was like, I think I'm gonna wait and watch Rampage when you get home, because she's like, I don't think I need to watch it twice. Right. I was like, fair. Totally fair. And so we watched it like later, after like I needed a little bit of time to come down after what I just watched.
Seriously.
And then like a couple hours later we were like, okay, let's pop on Rampage, and it was fine. And then we did watch, and I was like, well, with Nikki recovering from surgery and it's gonna be a little while before she can be active, we'll probably be watching Collision live for the time being, just because we're gonna be home. So
we're just usually home. Like we're not party people. We like hanging with our dogs on a Saturday night. Bob works a long schedule during the week.
Sure.
And it's nice to just chill, and it's like, all right, 8:00, we usually eating dinner, finishing up dinner, hang out with the dogs, watch the wrestling, trying to support AEW. I mean,
right. Yeah,
but there's been at least one good match on every show, I think, so far. And I actually enjoyed the experience of going. Like I do not regret for 1 second going to that show. I'm really glad that we made the choice to do that, because
Collision is gonna be in Greensboro. I think it's August the 12th.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. Is that close to you?
It's like an hour and a half, so it's not that far. But Nikki and I think it just depends on how she's gonna be recovering, because I was like, so that's an hour and a half car drive. It's ROH tapings, Collision, ROH, because I think they split up the ROH tapings, and I was like, I don't know how those chairs are going to be on her back, and then we would have to drive home or get a hotel and just stay the night. But I mean, I don't know how a hotel bed would be for her either. So I think it just kind of, if we do, we obviously really want to go, especially because we haven't been to, AEW hasn't been to North Carolina, or hasn't. I take that back. We didn't go to the Greensboro show when they came in, like it was like a December, and we couldn't make it, but we haven't been since the last time they were in Charlotte. And so we really want to go. Our friend Matthew bought tickets. They're actually also going to be in Greenville, South Carolina, like right around that time as well, like a week or two after. And it's like an hour and a half the opposite direction. And Doug will be at that one because that's near where he lives. So if we went to either one, we'd have like, it's about the same distance either way. But it just really depends on how, how her back is doing. I hope that we can make it, but we're just, if we do, it may just be kind of like you did, may just be walk-up tickets. Same day, or we'll buy them like the day before or something like that. But it just, it definitely is going to be something we have to play by ear, because we actually Matthew and I were talking about that on Friday, because he was like, I was like, because him and his wife are going, and I was like, and so we'll just see. But I was like, because I really would, and I would love to go for the ROH stuff because I'm watching it every week. So
you would really like. I think had a lot of ROH stuff on both of the shows we went to, honestly, because they taped some ROH stuff before the Forbidden Door show actually started. And
okay, right, because they had that's when they had a lot of the,
but
they had some of the New Japan people on, right?
Yeah, and there was like the unexpected. There was some before Collision, and then after Collision, like we didn't realize that there was more.
I think that's
apparent. It was only a few matches, because by then we were just like, okay, we just drove like 4.5 hours. There was traffic. It's a lot. It was just like, we have a 5-hour show ahead of us tomorrow.
I think from what I've understood, I mean, it may be just be because they're also in Canada and they're still trying to figure everything out, but I think that I heard that they're filming like 3 ROH matches before Collision, and then like 3 or like a few after Collision as well.
You'd like it. You'd really, it would work for you really
because that's when we went to the last time we had Dynamite
you
here.
Get your money's worth.
We got Elevation before, then we got Dynamite, and then they filmed the 100th episode of Dark afterwards. Nice. And so and that was really long, because they brought back, and because like they brought in Hangman to do Dark, they brought in Moxley to do Dark, for that, since it was the 100th episode. And that was, of course, like when I missed Rampage on Friday, I was like, of course it's the 100th episode, because I told my editors, I forgot to tell them, and then I told them Friday, I was like, oh yeah, I am not going to be doing a recap, because I'm going to see this, and send a picture of Speedball and Sean Legacy, and they were like, you made the wise choice there.
Yeah, right.
So they were good with it, but
good to have editors that understand.
They were like, "Oh, have fun." But speaking of ROH, I guess we'll hit this real quick. We now have, so Death Before Dishonor is the 21st. They've been kind of not really. They've been doing. I mean, I guess we shouldn't be surprised, because Tony is notorious for taking a while to build stories for pay-per-views, except for like maybe 1 or 2. And so we know Athena obviously is going to have something happening, and then they've not really built any of the other title matches up until this Thursday. And so Thursday, Mark Briscoe the match was supposed to be Tony Nese versus JD Drake, and then Mark Briscoe was like, I was talking to my main man Tony Khan, no, because they had been going back and forth like talking on the mic, and he was like, nobody wants to hear you guys, so I'm gonna fight you both. So it turns into a triple threat. Mark wins. Mark goes to the back, and this package plays, and it's Eddie Kingston, and he like talks directly to Mark. He calls him by a very personal nickname. He calls him Chicken, and he was like, I'm talking to you. And hang on, I've got it here. He said, I need you. These people need you. We need you to win the Ring of Honor championship. We need you to have that Briscoe legacy to live on. I love you, Chicken. It's your time. It is your time. So they cut back to Mark Briscoe, and he basically was like, because they had Renee was there, and so I was like, you can tell this is from an ROH taping with Renee there, because she's never on ROH. And so he made one of the things that was interesting is because Mark Briscoe, in his time with ROH, has always talked about how he wants the TV title. Like that was the first thing when ROH restarted this year. That was like his thing. And so he addressed that. And he said, all my career in singles actions, all I've ever talked about was wanting to win the Ring of Honor television title. But now it's my time, damn it, to reach for the sky and follow in my brother's footsteps and become the Ring of Honor world champion. So Claudio walks up and, of course, is being condescending and tells him to never listen to anything Eddie Kingston says. Don't take advice from him. Then he's like just talking about how he's not, that he's always been by his brother's side and would his brother really want him to walk behind him and follow in his footsteps. And he told him that he said that time has made you weak, which shows me that you are not man enough. You haven't manned up. And he said, that's right. I said it. And he said, if I have to pull down to earth from you trying to reach from the sky, I will more than gladly do that because I want to, Mark, because I do like you, but because I have to. My duty is to show you your limits, because he's talking about how he showed Eddie his limits. He said, if you really want this match, then shake my hand. So Mark, of course, shook his hand, and Claudio tells him, he was like, don't get your hopes up because you're not ready. And then he walks away. Yeah, it was really intense. Claudio is a very intense person. And so
Claudio is an intense person.
He is an intense dude, but when it comes to his title, like he is like a totally different type of intense. And he was like, so right afterwards, they did make the match official and they announced it was going to be the main event. I'm a little irritated with that. I know the match is going to be great. I feel like that's Athena's spot. I feel like Athena has been booked to have this spot. She's been on this undefeated streak. She's main evented ROH TV 4 times. She's had all of these things. She has been the focus. She has been the main focus for weeks. Claudio has not been on TV, or he's not been on the shows. The Lucha Brothers haven't been there, which I sometimes forget that they even have the ROH Tag Team Champions, because they're like no championships, because they're never there. Samoa Joe is not featured very often, because they're all on AEW TV, which is another interesting thing, that Athena, outside of last night, she's not on AEW programming. They keep her specifically on ROH, which goes back to the loophole thing that we talked about last week, how they're ROH sanctioned matches and things like that. So
the not Owen tournament match that wasn't, but was.
So it ended up, her match with Billy Starks was not an ROH sanctioned match, so it didn't count towards her. I
keep hearing a lot of people that I listen to that are either on the other people on our network or on other networks that I try and listen to, who are like, they're singing Athena's praises like so big. They're like, she's the best woman wrestler right now. She's like the biggest thing. And I'm like, and I remember, like, if people remember back to her NXT days, she was amazing. Like, we loved Ember Moon. Yeah, like, we were so excited. We got to actually see her. I mean, she only came out and did her entrance and everything, and we got pictures, but at least she was at the SmackDown we were at. And we were like, it was her and Asuka. It was like, those were the two, like, it's like, oh my gosh. So, like, she knows what she's doing.
Right.
She's excellent at what she's doing. Right. But I keep hearing her name on places where you wouldn't necessarily normally say it. And it's like, she might be one of the best wrestlers, period, is what I keep hearing. Like one of the best wrestlers right now.
Yeah.
Just in general.
Yeah. She is. She's on a different level. And so they hinted last night about Willow coming for, at once the Owen Cup is done, she hinted at facing her for the title again, which I believe they did wrestle down in ROH. I think it was a title match, not a proving ground match. So I think it was a title match, and I wouldn't mind seeing, like, if they wanted to put the title on Willow, I would not be mad at that. But I feel like they can't let Willow's momentum die down, even though she's no longer the strong champion. Like, I think they have to keep her in
the store. Athena's the star in ROH, Willow needs to stay on AEW television, whether she's on Dynamite or Collision or whatever.
And if they're going to do the theory we discussed last week, where they're bringing in Jordynne Grace, and Jordynne Grace is potentially the one to dethrone her, then I still would keep Athena down in ROH. Like, I'd let her, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing her go back and forth between Collision, because if they're going to let Claudio and the Lucha Brothers and Joe be back and forth, then Athena absolutely needs to be there, keeping her there. And Brad even said, I think that was, he said, I wonder if Athena wins, if Tony moves her to Dynamite or Collision, or if he leaves her on ROH to continue to have great matches just without the title. That's kind of what I'm wondering, Brad, because they need to build that women's division. They're building it around her right now. And so they do need a couple more really strong, because Sky Blue is back and forth between, she wrestled Athena for the title. So they've got Kiera, and Kiera has been really great. And sounds like Diamante got signed to a full-time contract earlier in the week. I don't know if that's AEW or ROH, or if it's going to be, she's kind of going to do both too. Because Diamante has been on ROH television as well. So they do need to, and then of course they're using Trisha Dora has been featured there, and Layla Hirsch returned Thursday night. And she said after her match, she said that she was there to stay in ROH, which is really good, because they need somebody like her in that division. And then Brad says to get the tag titles on the Infantry. That's Carly Bravo and Captain Sean Dean. And now Trisha Dora has joined them, because they all three are military veterans. And so they've added, Trish has joined them.
Nice.
Recently. I would not mind that. However, I just want the tag team titles on the Workhorsemen.
Of course.
I'm going to always push for them to have it. But I would not mind
have agreeers on this very channel, this very network, who agree with you. I hear it a lot. So
yes, I want the titles on them, and they've been using them a lot, and and then we got to see it, like we talked about last week. Anthony Henry got murdered by Miro last week, so on Collision, he got to make his Collision debut.
I like this Miro. I
do too.
I love, this is the Miro I want. Jeff and I were just talking on Twitter real quick before the show about Miro, how he said his double jointed hot wife.
Yes.
And he was like, that's awesome, because he does that and he keeps going, and he's just like, it's part of, he's cutting a promo on God, and he includes that in there and keeps going. And that I'm like, Miro's. I love this, and he's another one that like had a lot of like charisma in the ring. And he found a thing that worked for him, and Aiden English got in with him and whatever, and was like, so he's perfect. He's like, I love this. He's so like angry, old school, like, he's like, he's great. He's like an Ivan Koloff, like Russian scary guy. Like, I love it, but modern, but the good, like this generation's best version of it.
Yeah, he's really great. And that reminds me actually that you said that, because I saw Jim Valley was tweeting yesterday about Willie Mack, and Willie Mack has been featured on ROH pretty regularly. And he was saying that Willie Mack is like 40 years too late, and he could have been like the successor to the Junkyard Dog, because like he's just the way he talks and he carries himself, and he's so like, I love Willie Mack. I've been a fan of his for a really long time, and I'm so like, he cut a really great, because there was a 6-man it was not, I guess it was still a six-man match, but they were all wrestling. The winner got $25,000, and they were talking to him about like what he would do with it. And it was really great. And then Dalton Castle, I've seen that promo, which as much as I can see Dalton Castle, I want to see him. I love him in ROH, but that man should be on TV, because he's a national treasure. So he's walking down the ramp talking about how if he wins the money, he's going to the farmer's market, and he's buying jams, and he's buying plants, and he said ferns are $50 a pop, and he's buying every single one of them. And it's just, I've seen that promo so many times. I've seen other wrestlers sharing it like on Instagram, and it's so great. Brad did. You know what, Brad? I would do this. Brad said he'd put the 6-man on Shane Taylor and Workhorseman. They've been wrestling a lot of 6-man matches, and I would take that. I'm a huge Shane Taylor fan, and of course I love the Workhorseman, so I would accept that. Brad.
Shout out to Jim Valley. He had a tough day yesterday, and he was like bummed out. And I'm like, hey, so go join him on Threads and join me. Same everything. just go find me. You can find me. I'm easy. It's all the same stuff. But and also, if you know anybody who can live donor him a kidney, that's the number right there on the screen, because I'm going to jam that right in there since you mentioned our good friend Jim Valley. And he enjoys being an honorary Rob. He is very kind to us. And
he is. He's wonderful.
It's super duper. And so we want to.
Yes, and we'll tweet that again. We'll tweet because he has a pinned tweet on his Twitter about how, like, the forms, and if you have, because it will ask you specific questions, and he says just to DM him and he'll give you what the answers are. So definitely, if that's something that you would be interested in doing, he definitely needs that help. So
live donors are best.
Yes, definitely.
Sorry, a little
that's okay.
There, but
no, he
wants to have a I think what he'll do, I think it was smart, is that he wants to have a good talk about Willie Mack, and I think he's going to save it for another, like, radio, Observer Radio, or Observer Live, because he wanted to have a good talk about what you talk about with Willie Mack, and it just, he deserves it. He and not just like I shouldn't say that. I hate that. He's earned it.
Yeah. Right. No, I know you're right. And that reminds me, because that actually reminds me, Cedric Alexander said that a while back. It was because people were saying you deserve it. And he was like, no, I earned it.
I earned it. I think that's a better, some people, I think some people that is what it is. And it's however you want to, but I'm a word nerd. So I'm going to be semantical.
Right. And we will echo Gray's statements that we love Jim. We do love Jim very much. And Brad said, I need a reality show of Willie Mack and his capybara. And I don't know if I said that right, but I know what he's talking about. And I don't think I did not know that he had one. So
that's cool.
What? So now that I know that this
is that not a all these wrestlers have blogs? Why is that not like vlogs?
Yeah.
Why is
Willie,
that not
somebody get Willie Mack a vlog.
Send him a vlog.
And if he has one that I don't know about, then somebody please direct me to it, because I need to see it.
Screams Twitch or like vlog. Like he could Twitch stream him and his capybara doing things.
Yeah. God, that would be cool as hell.
Put that shit behind a paywall. You make a little extra cash. Yeah. People would love that. You don't need to charge a lot.
No.
I'd pay $5 a month for that. Kind of like paying 5 months of that. $5 a month for our Fight Game Network Plus. Yes. Which right now during the month of July we're doing a free show a week deal where we Garrett is putting up one of the shows on our Patreon for free, so you can go check that out. Last week's, I think it's still available.
Yeah, I think it's still available.
It was the Dynamite show, which was a really good Dynamite show, and I think I like how Paul and Jeff sort of like started out like hating the show and end up talking themselves in and out of loving, and then end up hating it, and then end up loving the show at the end. And it's fun to watch. I think
that's pretty much a weekly thing.
And that's kind of a summary of their show, but it's fun because their dynamics a lot of fun, and they're both they admit that they are old men yelling at clouds a lot. And I mean,
we've had to go babysit Jeff a couple times. While Paul was on vacation, Mel and I were tasked with babysitting 2 weeks in a row. Yeah. It was fun though. We enjoyed it.
We had a lot of fun.
We had a lot of fun. So definitely check that out. And then so make sure you're following Fight Game Media on Twitter too, because then you'll know which show will be free that week. But definitely go sign up for the Patreon so that you can get the free shows. And then while you're doing all of that, please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and tell your friends, tell your family, tell your grandma, tell everybody to come
use your alts. Subscribe with your alts.
Subscribe with your alts.
Because Sam and I are right now, as of this moment, the only live exclusive show on this network, right?
We are. So. Our good friends over at Speaking of Strong Style have moved over to Patreon as of last week. So it is just Mel
over
and
to the free feed.
Yes. And so Mel and I are the only ones holding it down over here with a full show every single week. You will see clips of other shows on this network. So, I mean, on this YouTube channel. So definitely subscribe, because if that's another way to see if you want to join the Patreon, there's all kinds of cool stuff. There's MMA stuff, there's WWE, there's New Japan, there's Stardom, there's all kinds of stuff. And sometimes there's special shows where they talk about like the Creed movies, and there's all kinds of
there's
content.
all kinds of really good fun
So
content
make
about
sure
combat everything.
But yeah, please make sure you subscribe, because that will help Mel and I a lot, because as of right now, it's just her and I doing a live show.
You guys subscribe to the Fight Game Media YouTube. You're subscribing directly to Sam and I, potentially getting monetized.
Yeah, so we're gonna.
You are helping us.
Like I mentioned last week, the annoying like, share, subscribe. We're asking for that because it helps us hugely. The comments in the chat, because we love talking to you guys anyway, but it helps us. That helps the algorithm, because we all have to fight the lovely algorithm.
The algorithm. You jerk.
So that has been our Fight Game Media plug.
I was trying to channel James. Like, no one will ever do it as good as he does. But
James is. He's the master at that. He's just like, no, but we should just have him record it and then just plug it into our show every week.
There you go.
He's so good. Let's ask James, as if he's not busy enough with everything else.
Can you do like a 30-second ad read, a 45-second ad read that we can play on Powerbombshells during the live feed?
Yes. We'll send it. We'll have to send him something in exchange. We'll send him some MJF pickles, or those things are expensive. Maybe we'll find a different one.
There's lots of things out there
we can send him. We'll find something.
The world is full of possibilities. Yes. And we know he likes the weird, funny stuff that we like. So
thankfully,
maybe we can get him a fun candle too.
Oh, that would be. Oh, we could do that.
Yeah.
All right, James, let's talk.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh man.
All right.
We'll get back into some more of the wrestling stuff. So Mel and I were both very busy this week and did not get to the Independence Day shows because we both had things going on. I was watching the CM Punk versus Samoa Joe trilogy for the first time ever. And then
did you get through it?
I did. I was
going to ask you to tell me what you thought after having seen the match.
Yeah. So Monday night, Nikki and I watched the first one, and it was like wanting to go into the second one. And we're like, do we go ahead and get into the second one? And people on Twitter were like, yes. They were like, because some people will have said that the second one is the best of the three. And after watching the three, I would agree with that. It was also the first 5-star match in the United States since 1997, when Undertaker and Shawn Michaels got it in the first Hell in a Cell match. And it was the 2004 Wrestling Observer Match of the Year. The second one was, and it was, so both matches, so the first two matches were each 60 minutes apiece. And then the third match, which was, so one was in June, one was in October, and then the last one was in December of 2004. And that one was 31 minutes and 33 seconds, according to Cage Match. And so we watched those. So we watched the first two Monday night, and then we didn't get to the final one till Thursday. And then I ended up writing about it for SC Scoops. It was kind of just revisiting the whole thing, and then also with what that meant for last night, because if you saw the video package, and then of course we know last night,
you have to tweet
of course these matches have been around 18 years, so if I spoil anything, then I am sorry. But I ended up getting spoiled because I knew that we should have muted because Wednesday they did the package to promote it, and I should have muted it because I'd not watched the third match yet. And so they were like, because CM Punk had never beaten Samoa Joe, and I didn't. I thought that I had heard that, but I didn't. I was like, damn it, I haven't even watched the third match yet.
Like, crap.
And then
that was kind of the story there.
Yeah, I mean it was, but I was just like, I should have muted it. But yeah, and it turns out, because I was looking at Cage Match, they actually had one more match, a singles match against each other in 2005 in England, but Samoa Joe won that match as well. So it was true. CM Punk had never beaten him before, and so it was cool to go back. I'm glad I watched the three matches beforehand, because they did some callbacks that they did in the first ones. All right, hang on real quick. Brad said that he is getting ready to head out, and he'll catch up on the rest of the show at work tomorrow. Thank you for checking. Thank you for coming to hang out with us today. And I hope that you guys have a ton of fun. And I can't wait to see the pictures that you post. And I hope that you guys get to meet everybody you want to meet.
What Sam said, because have fun.
Yes.
Enjoy yourself. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you
We
for
love it.
Thank
we
you.
love it and appreciate everybody
do.
hanging out with us.
But yeah, so with the stuff last night, they did do some callbacks to the match like almost immediately, and CM Punk wore shorts last night, which he wore shorts in their in all three matches. Samoa Joe wore similar shorts to what he had worn, and then I saw from the I believe Chris is the name of the head. Now that Sandra is gone, I believe Chris is the head gear maker for AEW, and he came up in my timeline and he created special gear for Will Hobbs. He did it was their tribute to the King of Hearts gear that he wore. It was the singlet had a pink heart on it and had like the Book of Hobbs was outlined in pink, and it looked really cool. And so then last night for CM Punk, he had some Owen Hart tribute gear as well with the shorts, and the stars on the sides were similar to a pair that Owen Hart had worn before. So I thought that was a cool little touch that they did that. And one thing I did like last night was the promo at the beginning where sorry, I had a call come up and it came up on my laptop as well. But the one bad thing about having these iPhones and a Mac is they will ring together, and it's a spam.
Yes,
and it's a spam call on top of that, so it's nothing important. But one thing I liked last night was CM Punk came out and he made the promo very much about Owen Hart, because I mean, of course it was a big deal that Samoa Joe and CM Punk were wrestling for the first time in 18 years. But I think because so many people were talking about it, it kind of got lost that the whole reason they're wrestling is to pay tribute to Owen Hart. Tournament. So I appreciated CM Punk being like, hey, this is like, even though this is what we're doing, like this is for the Owen, like this is the whole reason this tournament's even happening is for this man, and none of the four of us would even be here probably without Owen Hart. So I really appreciated that he was like, hey, let's take a second to realize, that's why we're here. But yeah, so I thought the match was really great. I loved the callbacks to it that they had, and then especially after if you have not seen Collision from last night, let me throw up the spoiler.
Let me. Brad left, but we'll still do it.
We'll do he'll see it when he comes back. And if you're listening on audio, we're about to spoil the match from Collision in case you somehow have not seen it. Spoiled for you
Joe
elsewhere.
Versus CM Punk from Saturday night.
Yes,
which was all right for fighting for those two.
Was all right for fighting. And so CM Punk did finally beat Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe was in shock. And he was like, they went to, and CM Punk got a little emotional, looked like he was about to cry a little bit, maybe did cry a little bit. And then Samoa Joe put him in the coquina clutch and screamed at him, you are not better than me and never have been, which I'm hoping means that they are getting a rematch at Death Before Dishonor, because I think if this is
that would be smart.
I in the beginning, I didn't like that this match was going to be in a tournament. Like that's a pay-per-view level match, and a match that hasn't happened in 18 years. Then it happened in ROH. It put ROH on the map. ROH has a pay-per-view in 2 weeks. Like I would have waited. But because of what happened last night, I'm hoping that means they're going to do a rematch and they're going to finish it, because because CM Punk has been injured twice in his AEW career.
Right.
They've got to be careful. Pretty much with actually any of the wrestlers who've been around for a while, you kind of want to get the dream match. They were doing that with Danielson. Kind of want to get the dream matches done. And it sounds like they've already they're hinting at stuff with him and Jay White. They're hinting at stuff with CM Punk and MJF later down the line. So this could potentially be it with Samoa Joe. They may, once this is done, they may move on and they may not get to revisit this. And then it just depends on, obviously, if he re-signs a contract, what Samoa Joe is doing, how healthy both of them are. So it could potentially be the last match between the two of them in a singles match. So if this is going to be it, then I think you have to close it out in Ring of Honor. I think it has to be. And he beat the TV title champion, or the TV champion last night. So I think that gives him a title shot. So I hope he cashes I hope he challenges him for Death Before Dishonor. You
make the argument straight up. Like, you beat me in AEW, big deal. You've never beat me in ROH.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, and that's wrestling. That's easy. That's like
Yes, that's what I'm.
no one's gonna question that. That's like total
And
wrestling
Joe,
logic. We're all like, yep, that's exactly right. That's how it works.
Yeah, and Joe doesn't have. He's not really been defending the title lately. He's Zack Sabre Jr. is out of the picture temporarily, so he needs an opponent. So why not do it here? And I'm wondering if that's why that happened last night. Some people are also wondering if Joe did that because obviously he's mad and that he may potentially cost CM Punk the match against Ricky Starks next week. That way. Because I was like, well, are they? Because when it was originally announced, I was like, well, are they gonna have CM Punk win the whole thing? Because obviously we know it's no secret that he's a fan of the Hearts. It's very clear.
Right.
So maybe they have him do it. But then on the other hand, it would be huge for somebody like Ricky Starks to win that. I mean, granted, they don't they get the belt.
Newish.
They don't do it. They don't really do. It's not like they
situation.
defend the Owen belt, but still, it would be nice to have. So now I can kind of see maybe they do have Ricky here if Joe interferes or does something afterward that could further set up a match. Because like I said, Death Before Dishonor is the 21st. So they've got 2 weeks to get Samoa Joe a match. So I'm thinking that's what they could be doing. I really hope that that's what they're doing. I think that would be a good way to end it. I think it should end in ROH. And like you said, Joe can be like, you've never beaten me in ROH. So let's see if
it doesn't count anyway.
Right, exactly. Daza said, I was an ROH fan at the time of the trilogy, and the stuff they were doing was so creative compared to what WWE was dishing out. ROH kind of saved my interest in wrestling. Daza, somebody else was saying that to me recently as well, that feud definitely got them to stay involved in wrestling, and that made and it was interesting because when I was watching the second match, the audio was messing up in the beginning, and then I can't remember who it was, somebody on commentary was like, they told me to basically unplug my mic. So the match didn't have had no commentary for a good chunk and that match was an hour, and that really came in. It added another layer because as the match is going, you hear the audience is really into it, and then all of a sudden you hear the timekeeper say 30 seconds left, and we're like 30 seconds, and it's just like this fever pitch, and then time runs out. So the first two matches end in time limit draws after they both went an hour, and it was just really intense. And so we were wondering, because again, the one thing about it is the pacing was so well, like they didn't seem like they were hour-long matches. Like they went fairly quickly. And so that's why I was surprised, because when I heard him and I asked, I was like, wait, did he say 30 seconds or did he say 5 minutes? And then you could hear the crowd starting to count down. They were they got to 10, and I was like, wait. So just having that with no commentary and just hearing the crowd, and then seeing both of them frantically trying to one of them pin the other one so it doesn't end like it did the first time in a time limit draw, and then it does, and I was just like, it was really intense. And so I thought all three matches were fantastic, but I would agree that the second one was the best of the trilogy for me. But yeah, so it was cool to see that, kind of happen last night, and then hopefully set up for what will probably be the end of it. Daza says I think the second match, Mick Foley went into the crowd to watch the match, and the audience were so into the match that they didn't even notice. That's crazy. And the third match had Ricky Steamboat was sitting ringside next to the bell, because at the time Ricky Steamboat was kind of like a mentor to CM Punk, and obviously he's had his own 60-minute matches with Ric Flair, so he's there to kind of coach CM Punk to try to help him beat Samoa Joe, and he still didn't win. Samoa Joe beat him, obviously, and he made him tap out. And so Ricky Steamboat comes, and there's a part in the match where they were gonna ring the bell. They started to ring the bell and neither one of them was gonna win, and Ricky grabbed the guy, the timekeeper's hand, and would not let him, and made the match continue. So that was just really interesting to see Ricky Steamboat get involved in that, and then and in the end it didn't matter because Samoa Joe got him to tap out, and or he passed out, and it was really awesome. It was a really great. I can understand, especially at that time, just having like if I being an indie fan at that time, I can see how that match would have just or those 3 matches would have like made ROH like well, what it ended up being just like a huge deal. Taza said Ricky Steamboat came up with a spot where Joe tries to cheat by putting his feet on the ropes. That's cool. That's really cool. Like,
That's
to
really
find out
cool.
this stuff like after the fact to see this
yeah.
stuff. It's really cool. Thank you for that, Daza. But yeah, so
I saw that you were gonna try. I figured you would commit to it because you seemed pretty determined last week, and I was like, I didn't put it in the notes, but I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I am gonna ask her about it if I get
Yeah.
the chance. So I just was
So
curious, like,
yeah, I watched them. They were really great, but now so that didn't leave time for the New Japan Independence Day show, which I really do
yes,
want to see. And so I do know most of what happened.
me too.
I've tried to avoid the Eddie Kingston stuff because I want to watch it. Like I want to see his like I've seen some pictures. I didn't watch his post match interview because I kind of want to just be able to see all of it like in real time, just to see like why he said. I mean, I have an idea. I saw something about like what he said, but I want to try to watch the match without having to, because the people posted clips and I was like, I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna try to just watch it and
You don't want to overly spoil yourself. You
yeah,
because
because I was like, but I'm so happy for him. And you and I talked about it you and I and Josiah talked about it last week that we hoped he was getting the strong title from Kenta, and he did, which is huge going into the G1.
the G1.
Get the picture.
I'm
But yes,
yes,
so
we have it. Yay!
and I didn't watch, and I really want to see the stuff with El Desperado and Eddie. Well, actually, I want to see the 4-way with Jun Kasai.
Me too.
I've seen pictures. I've tried to again avoid watching clips of that too because I just want to watch it in real time. But
wow, you know what, with the G1 coming and the fact that we had just finished up with the Forbidden Door and sort of wrapped up that week,
yeah,
I was like, I woke up and chose no wrestling this week other than like my live wrestling. I was like,
yeah, we took a break.
You know, I know that independent, it's a strong thing, so more than likely it'll be available going forward. And it was like, I know starting a week from yesterday, it's on because the G1 starts.
Yes.
And sort of where my hat leads to is it figures and John, our friend John, also he has a similar thing because he's got an OGT show on Friday or on Saturday.
Yeah. Right.
So he's like gonna be going to that and doing the thing, and you know, it's like we're behind and it hasn't even started. Next week, Bob and I will be volunteer Viking again for the StarCraft Brewery anniversary. It'll be their 4th anniversary, and that's our neighborhood brewery that we're members of. And we, you know, I think I talked about this last year, and you'll see me a little bit. I might be a little garbed up next week, a little. But I did it last year too, where we go over and we kind of did it as a joke the first year, and it's become a thing. And this year they want to actually try and do pictures with the kids. Yes. I will definitely post pictures.
I mean, I know you said you might be a little garbed up for the show next week, but I would like to see the full.
I will definitely put stuff on there for the we're trying to do a thing where we schedule some time to do pictures with the kids because that was a big thing.
That'll be fun.
And so again, it's like their neighborhood thing. It's a family that runs it. So for us, and it's all our neighbors in town and in and around the area. It's like it's
very cool.
Very fun, and it's very volunteer oriented, and it's a great little thing that our town is really smart about doing local events and making sure that everyone's taken care of. And
that's great.
I mean, this is like I say this a lot. And this is the one place where I'm actually like I feel like my tax dollars are actually going to
right.
This is the one time in a long time where I feel like my tax dollars are actually the library is good, the school is good, they're good to the businesses in town. Go Richmond, Michigan, So we will be volunteer Viking next week for the weekend so Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But
of course,
I will obviously still be here. But
yeah,
we might we might be quicker. We might not.
Yeah, and next week we don't know. Neither one of us will probably have gotten to G1. Because of the time difference.
We're doing a mini preview.
I'll probably be starting G1 on Sunday night.
Me too. It'll be either Sunday night or Monday, and I will catch up, and I will be all caught up. And
same. Yeah, we're gonna end up doing that as well. And Then, I was gonna ask, has John decided if he's gonna do any drawings during the G1?
He
Like
has
he did?
not followed up with me right now,
So I was
but
just
if
curious
he
if he had,
goes up and
because that
down,
was
I
a
will let you know. I
that was
actually
a question that quite a few people had when he was here, as if he was gonna do any type of drawing through the G1. So I didn't know if maybe he had mentioned it to you.
I will ask him. I bet he hasn't
Yeah.
thought about it because he knows he's like behind already.
Yeah.
And he like
Well,
does,
maybe he could just do stuff like in
but
between or
I
here and
would
there, wherever
not
the
be
inspiration strikes.
surprised to see some work during that time
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he's really into, there's a couple like he's got his like pick for the winner, and he's really into the Kiyomiya Okada stuff, and
Oh, cool.
it'll
Yeah,
be
so
fun
he's
to
gonna
see
love
where
this
his brain,
tournament.
usually his brain like overloads and he has to spew some pretty fun pictures on there. So if anything, if nothing else, we can rethread or regram or whatever.
Yeah.
Or tweet it. I mean,
Absolutely.
we can tweet it, but we can't do 600 pictures. So
No, we can just pick and choose what goes over there. But he has his work from BOSJ was great, and so
yeah,
I'd love to see
it was a
whatever,
lot of
if
fun.
anything from G1 inspires him to draw.
I wouldn't be
them.
surprised because
Yeah,
he
especially if he's
tends to
even if
draw
he just
during
sticks with
G1
like,
season anyway. So you sometimes
yeah,
get some fun stuff, and
sure,
draw
yes,
what you know, just like
yeah,
write
right,
what you know.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be shocked if we saw some fun stuff come out of it, that he
All
like
right.
either mashables or just straight up drawings of people like, oh, this is a person that's new to draw. And
Yeah,
he had a lot of
right.
fun with like Speedball was one of his like ones that was a lot of fun, that everything about Speedball works.
Yeah. Let's say.
So here's our mini we're gonna do mini preview here of the G1 for you. So
there's a lot that's going to be happening over the next, what is it, 15? No.
Yeah.
How many days is it this year?
It's
Like, it's not, it's more than 15 days,
through
right?
August, right up to the like right before All In.
Yeah, this is a long tournament. I did see, and I think we knew this before, but I'd forgotten. They have limited the tournament matches have 20-minute time limits. I saw that. Every
interesting.
match.
So they have the multiple. They have more. One more block.
Yes.
They have the like 4 block.
Yeah, because they're doing the 4. Yeah, they're doing the
but
4.
They're going to be time limit.
Yes, 20-minute time limits on all of them.
Every single one.
Every single tournament match is 20 minutes is what I was just reading from. I was trying to find the schedule, and I pulled up something from the Observer, I think, and I saw there that they said it was a 20-minute time limit, and then it wasn't what I was looking for, and so I found another article.
Well, this is what, 20 minutes. Yeah, that is what that says. If you look at this picture, it says what? Yep,
it does.
20 minutes. Right there. So Sonata, that's Sonata and Hikuleo. That's one of the first. I just kind of grabbed from there. So
that is a block. Because we were just gonna hit basically day 1 and day 2, just each one of the blocks, because will be very long, so we'll just stick with. And I'm sure, probably speaking of strong styles, probably gonna get a lot more in depth. We're just giving you a little bit of a primer, and then if you need a full in-depth thing, then that will probably
Thursday on the free feed, on the Fight Game Media free feed. That will be,
and we'll definitely tweet it, so that you guys
course
can see it, because they've always got great stuff. But yeah, so this will be a really interesting match, because obviously Sonata is the champion. Hikuleo, we've talked about how they can't really seem to follow up with him. He had the big thing where he obviously he beat Jay White, so Jay White could not wrestle in Japan anymore. And then they didn't do anything with him for a little bit. Then they put the strong title on him for a few minutes. Then he lost that to Kenta at Resurgence, and then he just seems to be kind of floundering. Like they don't really know what to do. They
go back and forth with him, where they're like, we're going to push him. No, we're not. Yes, we are.
So he needs a strong G1 tournament. I just don't know that they're going to give, like, I don't see him beating Sonata.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter, because it's not like it's a title match, but I think hopefully Sonata you want your champion to do well.
Do well in the tournament.
Then
let's
there's
see,
Tai Chi versus Will Ospreay. Yeah, that'll be really
one. Yep, you're right. 20 minutes. That's going to be so. Okay, this is interesting now, because one of the things I was worried about, and to some degree, is how long G1 matches can get, and with the extra block, like how long are these shows gonna end up being? It's like, am I gonna have to sit for like 5 hours every single day? Like,
yeah, and I wonder what they'll do with like the because last year they didn't do the undercard matches, or they didn't do as many, it seems like. And it'll be because I was looking at the schedule. So Saturday is 4 A block matches and then 4 B block matches, and then Sunday is 4 C block and 4 D block, and then they go back on the 18th, and so it keeps so they're just doing A block, B block, then the next night C and D, and then it's just repeating back and forth. So it'll be in there all 20-minute time limit. So I wonder how much of the undercard stuff they're gonna do to or if these are gonna be because a lot of the BOSJ shows were 2.5 hours, or they were they were 2.5 hours, or just under 3 or something like that. So I'm wondering if that'll make it a little bit more digestible if they do that. And then I wonder
the extra blocks really changes the dynamic in my world.
Absolutely.
So I fear change, so whatever.
And it'll also be interesting because where was I going with that? I lost my train of thought with where I was gonna go. I don't remember what I was
blocks
gonna say
20 minutes.
Yeah, the blocks are 20 minutes. They're gonna do the they're doing the 4 blocks. Well, if that thought comes back to me, I'll share it with you. It must not have been important, or it'll
come back to you.
It'll come back to me during the tournament. Oh, so this match is what's gonna be really interesting. It's Tsuji versus Kiyomiya. He obviously yeah, this is gonna be a good one, because obviously I think this might end up being match of the night, or
that could get ugly. That's 20 minutes of crazy and
crazy
sassy madness.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of Kiyomiya, so I'm really interested in this tournament. I mean, clearly I've been keeping up with what's been happening. I know him and Okada. I mean, Okada's beefing with a lot of people, but this is his main one.
This is the big beef.
This is the big beef.
Weird possible crossover beef that, I mean, they've had great matches and a great feud across these two promotions, so this is going to be an interesting.
Yeah.
It seems having these guys, these couple of guys that are from the other promotions, is going to be very interesting for the.
Yeah, I like that they're doing that though. I think that's really cool.
And I think
but then you've got the AEW wrestlers in it too.
That's what I mean. Eddie. Though I mean, you've got Eddie, you've got Kiyomiya. I like that.
Well, and then Kenta's technically wrestles in Impact too. So Kenta's kind of got
fair enough.
Kenta hasn't been in Impact as much recently, but he has been early. I want to say 3 or 4 months ago, I think he was doing some Impact stuff too. So because he was still doing some stuff with ABC, and so he's kind of he just goes wherever they need him.
I mean,
that'll be really interesting. But I am sticking. You know what? I'm just gonna stick with my hot take that I had way back when Tsuji speared Sonata out of his shoes. I think I'm going to say Tsuji is going to win the whole thing. They seem to be really big on him, to have him come for Sonata like that, and to have him, and then he's in LIJ now. They seem to really think very highly of him. They think he's going to be a big deal. They seem to be grooming him to be a massive star. And I think you shock everybody and have him, because I know obviously Will Ospreay is the favorite. I get it. I understand why. I know booking wise it makes sense to have him win, but I think if they want to shake things up, and I know it's because this will set up a Wrestle Kingdom match, and so that's why a lot of people assume it's going to be what makes complete sense. I will not be surprised if that's the route they go, but I'm gonna stick with my pick. I'm gonna say Tsuji is gonna win the whole tournament.
I like it. I like the wild, and that's as wild as this match. And I think Tsuji's going to have a lot of wild matches. And
I think so too.
I'm excited to watch him, and I'm into that. So, we got some Kazuchika Okada versus the greatest Okan.
The greatest Okan. This is going to be fun because Mel and I are big fans of both of them.
Yeah, this is a good match. I mean, these are two.
Okada is one of our favorite wrestlers, but we're huge fans of Greatest Okan, especially of Greatest Okan the person.
the best.
So that'll be a really good match, especially, and I really just love what they're doing with what Okada's doing. I just like this
Me
version
too.
of
I
him.
like rogue, angry, like you damn
Yeah.
kids, Okada.
Yeah, I will fight
It's
anybody
the best
and
way. He's
everyone.
putting over the new generation that they're trying to put out there to
Yeah.
everybody by being like angry guy with
Yeah.
like angry guy yelling at club, but he's doing it. God, Okada is so good.
Yes.
He's so good. He just can do everything.
He can. And I love this. Yeah, and I love the intensity that he's wrestling with, and it seems to be on a different level.
Oh, he
And I
wants to beat the
really,
crap out of Kiyomiya though. Like
yeah.
he's like not let go of that shoot hit there.
Never.
So,
Grace, that's super fun
never.
match. Yes.
It'll be a lot of fun. I mean,
Yeah.
the whole G1 is.
Yeah, I'm really
And
looking
everybody can clap and cheer and be happy
Yes.
now. So
I'm so excited for
that's
G1.
gonna make a big difference.
Yeah. Mel and I are, we've talked about, we're huge G1 fans over here, and I think pretty much everybody on this network that keeps up with New Japan.
It's been a struggle through the plague, but I think this year we kind of get at least. It's not going to be perfect, but I think maybe next year, and even Jim made this point on his show yesterday, as I think next year will be the really, really like back to normal. But this is going to be a start to get back to normal.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of new faces.
Well, and New Japan is just, they are firing on all cylinders. It seems like they've just been killing it with their shows and everything that they're doing. And so I think that G1 is just going to carry. I think G1 is going to be a huge momentum going into Wrestle Kingdom.
Agree.
It's set up the next half of the year for them. I think is going to be huge, and I think we're going to see a lot of cool stuff come out, like a lot of like little side stories and coming up through this, and I think it's going to be really cool.
And they'll be able to promote the rest on the All In show because they'll be able to kind of stick some people in there too. Because it's pretty much out there that they want to have some people on there, and they want to work with AEW, and they want to be in Wembley that day. And why wouldn't you?
And there's a ton of New Japan fans in the UK, so I think it makes sense.
It's smart. Well, usually they would be doing Royal Quest. They basically.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They like Royal Quest. I guess isn't happening. I mean, my assumption now at this point is that
I hadn't thought about that. And maybe it's not.
Because AEW is going to Wembley, so it makes a lot of sense to do crossover because they've done the Royal Quest show that was where you got Aussie Open versus FTR last year. That was like that banging match that everybody loves so much. Right.
So, and then you've got, because I mean, it's pretty much a given that no matter what position he's in, that Will Ospreay is going to be on that show.
I think it's pretty obvious.
So like that's pretty obvious.
Probably Zach too.
That's what I was going to say. Probably Zach. Obviously because of, and then they're
both going to be at the Rev Pro shows and the other stuff that's going on.
And then then we were talking about, so Rev Pro is having shows. Defy is they're going to be there. The day before they're having a show with Progress. Progress has a show called It's Clobbering Time. It's like I think it's noon. I think at noon, obviously in England, not noon here.
GMT.
Yes, thank you. I was like, what is their thing? Because I was thinking BS, and I was like, nope, it's not B. I think it is. Yeah. So noon GMT is the Defy show, and then at 4 p.m. is the Progress show. Adam Cole is going to be doing something on Progress because when he was a few months ago, they did there's some con over there, and Adam Cole was called out by their current champion, whose name I just forgot because I wrote about it, so I should know his name.
You'll think about it in a minute.
Just blanked on his name, but they basically had a stare down. That match is pretty much going to happen at Progress. Good. Okay. So it seems like they're going to be like, if you help us promote this show, we'll send some of our guys over to Progress. Let them do some stuff with you. Then there's Defy. Nick Wayne is the current Defy champion.
That's right.
Or no, wait.
He dropped
he dropped it to Swerve, right?
Yeah.
This will not be a title match. So Swerve is the current Defy champion, rather. So Swerve will likely be on the Defy show as well, because he'll already be in Outland. So there's definitely going to be some crossover, it seems like, with some of the bigger promotions there. And then so it would make sense for New Japan so New Japan will probably be on some of the Progress shows too, or Rev Pro or Defy. It looks like they're going to do. There's going to be a lot of crossover, basically. And so maybe you're right. Maybe
they apparently
hit
do Royal Quest. 7,500 actually sold 75,000 actually sold and started opening.
Yeah, I heard something about
them
opening. Yeah. So
and it's hard because again at WrestleTix he counts seats and he counts like owned seats, whereas they're bought and everything. So it's hard, and it's hard to know until the end because they don't want to tell you what's going on because it's part of their business.
Yeah.
But he like, I mean, they open like the fact that they sold what they did in the first place, and then it just keeps climbing. And
and then there's
now they're opening. They did open apparently the upper deck seats, which is amazing. I just think that's amazing.
Yes,
please.
and I have now had it because they are using Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, that they are going to try to get Elton John for all.
I think you're smart.
I mean, it may just be wishful thinking just because I really want it to happen.
Not,
it's like, change it to Sunday night. I don't care. Actually, I was joking that he should sing Goodbye Yellow Brick Road to piss off Jeff Jarrett, because that's Effie's music. So, but I was like, I really hope they can get Elton John, because everyone was like, that would be
Jeff Jarrett, who looks like they literally plucked him out of like a late 80s freaking ring and just dropped him right into an AEW ring. I swear. Last night, more than ever, I realized that I was like, he looks like they plucked him out of time.
They did.
It's so weird.
But it's also kind of modern too. Like he gets
it's
in both
weird.
Places.
It's
definitely.
Like, it works. It's working. Whatever. Like, I mean, that one was working for me. I was just like, I don't know. He suddenly like, I had like, Wayback Machine moment. But this isn't necessarily a Wayback Machine, because this is Shota Umino getting his first
will be a
G1
machine, because this is going to be probably a match that we see throughout the coming years.
Yeah, this is going to be a big rivalry, and these guys are going to be the next generation of stars. Like, this is their first. I mean, this is Shooter's first G1, and I'm excited for him.
Yeah, I'm excited for. I'm really excited for that. I think Shooter's going to kill it. And then, the next match we have is Tonga Loa versus Kenta. This should be interesting. Tonga Loa seem to be kind of building him up some, and then they haven't done as much with him either. Like they with him and Hikuleo, they can't quite figure out what they're doing. So I hope he has a solid tournament. Like, even if he only ends up with like 4 or 6 points, like I hope he just has some really solid matches and starts getting some momentum. Kenta will be interesting to see, because now there's been some rumors that Kenta might have some heat with New Japan, and so then he dropped the title, and so it's kind of interesting. It's
maybe he'll get subbed out of it.
Maybe. But Kenta, I'm a Kenta fan. I enjoy his matches. This type of stuff he seems to thrive in. So I'm expecting Kenta, even if he doesn't have a whole lot of points, I expect him to just have really good matches. Then this match is interesting.
Gabe Kidd, Chase Owens. Chase Owens, who continues to get spaces in the G1 somehow.
Because you have to have somebody get 2 points every year.
Can we put Filthy Tom or somebody like that in this spot?
Really sad that Filthy Tom is not in this. I did see that Filthy Tom was. I saw some video of it. Filthy Tom was at the Juggalo gathering.
Oh, the gathering of the Juggalos. Yeah, it's a big deal here.
It was him versus.
They have their Juggalo Wrestling League.
Yeah, it was him versus Matthew Justice versus Joey Janela versus. What is Bishop's first name? I just blanked on it. But they were wrestling for the Juggalo Championship Wrestling title, and Vampiro was the current champion, but he's retiring from Juggalo Championship Wrestling, and he was gonna award his title to the winner. I think Joey Janela won it, but I'm not positive. But then I also saw a video from Tom that he posted. Motor City, because Motor City was on this show. They wrestled the Juggalo Championship Wrestling Tag Team Champions. But apparently they were like in a match that was surrounded by a cage, but it didn't have like a top. But fans were throwing things at Motor City, and Motor City apparently they were highly healing it up over there. So.
That's a special group. The thing about the Juggalos that's so funny though is they do a lot of community outreach work as well, and great. So it's like hard to whatever you want to think, whatever your stance on Fago is, like whatever, like you got to be down with the clown. I'm just saying.
Have to be down with the clown. That is
It's
true.
just what it is. They do a lot of good work. So
Yeah, they
well,
do.
that's good. I mean, I'm glad
Yes.
to hear that.
Yeah,
Let's
at
see
least Filthy
what's the
Tom.
next
So at
one.
least Filthy Tom's doing that. It's not in the G1, but you know.
I wish I'd known that. I would have gone over there and
Yeah, there's some videos. You should go to Filthy Tom's Twitter account. He's got
I
some
need to
videos.
pay attention. I
You
need to pay better
you need to
attention.
see his out. Actually, you know what? I think it's the same outfit he wore from the Independence Day stuff because I've obviously not watched the shows, but I saw a picture of what he was wearing, and I think that's the same outfit that he had on. He probably, because he flew straight from Japan to that, he probably just wore
It wouldn't
that on the
surprise me.
plane and just rolled on. I mean, I don't think the Juggalos really
No
care.
one's gonna care.
They're not gonna care, so I'm pretty sure
No,
he just
no one's
rolled
gonna
right
care.
up. And speaking of that, Nick Wayne was wrestling in DDT Pro, and I saw a tweet from Brett Lauderdale yesterday. He left Japan on Friday, got to the airport, he landed, drove, and got to the show. He got to GCW show yesterday at intermission, and then he wrestled. Like, he got off the plane from Japan and went straight to the venue, and then he's wrestling. East West Express is wrestling, so Brad gets to see them too. They will be
Nice.
East
Brad's
West
got
Express.
a good card today.
It's East West Express and who is it? There's somebody really good, and then they're wrestling Time Splitters, which is Motor City
nice.
and
Yeah.
Kushida. Then I think Nick Wayne turns 18 on Tuesday. Then Wednesday is his match with Swerve. So Nick Wayne is just having like an incredible couple of weeks over here. Nikki said Joey Janela had some great stories from the gathering. Yeah, she showed me a couple. Like, there was two dudes just randomly fighting in the.
I know it's there. I know it's been there forever because obviously I'm married to someone from the state of Michigan and now live in the state of Michigan. Did they throw Faygo at them? Better Made? Yeah, Better Made chips.
I'm
Faygo.
sure they did. Great.
I don't know. You know what? We went looking for like Rock and Rye, which is like one of the best flavors, honestly. And it's like there's a shortage or something. I think there's a Faygo shortage.
Oh no.
They probably have like backup though. They probably have
they probably hoard it all through the year.
I'm sure the Juggalos have a strategic Faygo reserve.
Probably.
Because
if not, what are they doing?
Yeah, right. Because I mean that's their power ups. So
right, exactly.
All right, let's see. What do we got here? We got Yoshihashi versus El Phantasmo. So
that'll be fun. That'll be fun. ELP is just, I really like what they're doing with him. I like him I like this stuff. I think ELP is going to have a really good tournament this year. It's fun to see Yoshihashi in some singles stuff. He's obviously a great tag team champion, but it's cool to see him get some of this stuff too. But ELP,
well, I mean, you can't overstay your welcome in 20 minutes. That's one thing that's interesting.
Well, that's true.
So
yeah,
that actually kind of alleviates a lot of some of the people's shenanigans,
right?
Or some of the stuff they do match wise that you're just like, really, dude.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to the Chase Owens stuff with Bullet Club because the Bullet Club, because every G1 Fale is usually there creating some kind of.
He's there for havoc and nothing else.
Yeah, Dick Togo's out there doing stupid stuff too, creating havoc. So maybe this limits them all a little bit. But 20 minutes.
Red Shoes slide.
Red Shoes doesn't have time for their shit.
Yeah,
he never does. And G1, he usually, by the time G1's over, he's ready to murder all of them.
I bet you I don't know. I don't know anything. I have no idea, but I get the feeling because Kevin Kelly kind of hammers on it a little bit and he's been building it that during the tournament, he's going to make issue of Red Shoes doing Shota's matches, and I think
because he thinks it's not
not fair and all of these things.
Right.
And I think that there's something in that story that could be utilized, not necessarily like that he can't maybe like do his Shota's matches or whatever, or something else like that. And as an act of defiance is when Shota comes out in those red boots and it's like, okay, that's fine. My dad can't ref my matches, but I can still represent him because
that would be cool.
John and I have like fantasies of him showing up in red boots. We're like, that's the day that we know that he's like, hey, that's like, okay, now he gets the IWGP heavyweight champion.
Right. Yeah. And so I think we're done with, are we done with images?
Yeah, that was our
Okay,
last slide.
I'm gonna just read through the matches that we didn't have pictures for, just so that we have, because there's a lot going on. So I think we had pictures. So those matches are for night one. Those are A block and B block matches. So Sunday, C block has the first match. Well, if these are in order, assuming, but so the first match they have listed is Ishii versus David Finlay.
Nice.
And I think I mentioned this before when the brackets came out, but I love that David Finlay is in the C block. Because if you have been watching New Japan for a few years, you know about him being the C block champion when the C block did not actually exist.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Juice Robinson were doing all the undercard stuff, and so they made their own little tournament. David Finlay was the C block champion, and so I think it's nice little full circle moment to see him back in the C block. Then we have Tama Tonga versus Evil. Then there's, oh man, this is gonna be good. So Sunday is Shingo Takagi versus Eddie Kingston. That is one of the matches that I cannot wait to see. Like, of the first weekend, that's probably the match I want to see the most.
I'm actually like way more excited now. I even know about this time thing.
Yeah.
That's
can you imagine what those two are going to do in 20 minutes?
Think about it. You have to pay attention. Like,
yeah,
there's so much, like, we've seen it with Zach and the TV belt.
Yes, like, I think that's going to help Zach. I think Zach will fare very well in this because he's used to doing 15 minutes, so he's got an extra 5 minutes to play with.
Yeah, right. This is
they
a
don't
long
necessarily
time
go
for
to
him.
limit. Like, a lot of his matches could still go 15 minutes if he does, he's got 5 extra minutes to kind of work with. So I think Zach will thrive, and he's wrestling. He'll be wrestling in the D block, but he's wrestling Tana night one.
Nice.
Tana probably can't go the 20 minutes. This might be.
I saw that match at
that might be a 10 or 11 minute match. But the last C block match is Mikey Nichols versus Aaron Hanare, which I think will be really interesting. I'm interested to see how TMDK does in this.
Yeah, me too.
I'm still irritated. I'm still don't know why Bad Dude Tito is not in the G1. He seems like the perfect person to be in the G1, maybe hopefully next year then. And I heard he had some really great matches on the Independence Day shows, and that the fans were really into him, so that is always good. And then so the rest of D block, besides Zack Sabre Jr. and Tana, Naito versus Jeff Cobb. And if you follow John LaRocca on Twitter, you will see these incredible pictures because Uncle Jeff came to John LaRocca's house. And there's pictures of him, and he's like at the table. There's some with the kids. Then there's pictures of him with foils in his hair because he's getting blonde streaks put in it. I was like, this is the greatest picture. And so
I love it. I missed that. I have not been on the Twitter that much.
Yeah, I happened to see he tweeted it yesterday.
So I'm gonna have to go look at that.
Go directly to John LaRocca's Twitter so that you
I love that Uncle Jeff is like Uncle Jeff, so that's already. And I just think Jeff Cobb is the coolest ever. He's like,
we're huge Jeff Cobb fans over here.
Oh yeah,
love that guy. Love him.
Great on the mic. Great on the in the ring, of course.
Yes, he's so much fun on commentary. Oh, I love when he's on commentary.
And it's like it's because he's a gold medalist. Like, he actually wrestles, so he can actually he's got a great brain for this. I'm so glad he's part of the party.
Me too. Then also we have Shane Hayes versus Alex Coughlin, which I think that should be a really good one. I think Alex Coughlin, I think he's really gonna have a stand. I mean, he always he's somebody that impresses me all the time when I see him. And I think he'll have a standout tournament. I think he's gonna do, even if he doesn't fit, maybe he gets like 8 or 10 points or whatever, but I think he will, which obviously, which is higher, but I think Alex Coughlin's going to have a lot of really good matches, and he'll be somebody who's interesting to see in a 20-minute time limit.
Yeah.
Type of thing. And then the last match for the D block is Goto versus Yano.
Okay.
So
I probably won't go 20 minutes. No, Yano will probably staple Goto to something. And
I was gonna say it's gonna be 13 minutes of shenanigans, and
it'll be a count out. 13 minutes of shenanigans and a count out because Goto is stapled to the, I don't know, like barricade or something.
Yes. They kind of it probably was smart that they did not put Yano and Eddie Kingston in the same block, because Yano, obviously John Moxley fears Yano, so you would think that, but
Right.
Eddie is probably familiar with just shenanigans, but I don't think Eddie would. I don't know how Eddie Kingston would handle Toriano.
I don't know, man.
So it's probably a good thing
Let's
they
hope
kept
they
them.
don't like make it into the next round and face
That's
each
what I'm saying.
other.
If they make it to the next round, then maybe now I kind of want that to happen, because
Yeah, right.
I want to see how Eddie Kingston would react to
Deals with
Toriano.
that.
So just the first 2 days, like, there's some really great matches
Yeah, it sounds
coming up.
great.
Like, I'm just scanning over like some of the stuff that's coming up. Like, oh no, poor Eddie Kingston. His next match after after Shingo is Evil. So
Yeesh.
that'll be interesting. But yeah, there's some interest. There's some really cool matchups. Like, Sonata is wrestling Suji on July 21st. Like, that'll be a really cool one to see after we've seen Suji he's wrestled Sonata for the title. He obviously he came close to beating him. So
Mhm.
that'll be a fun little rematch. So there's some great matches like coming up throughout the tournament. I'm sure there's going to be some really good sleeper matches that you hear everybody go. They're going to be like, go back and watch this. Oh, I know what I was going to say earlier. I wonder then, because these are 20-minute time limit matches, if it will make it easier for them to put up, because sometimes you can go to World and they'll just have just the tournament matches, and then they kind of quit doing that because the shows were so short. But now I'm wondering, because they're 20-minute time limits, if they'll go back to putting up, which will make it
That would be
easier.
nice.
If we're with us trying to catch up hours later, it would be nice to just be able to
That would be
watch.
lovely, because then we could
Yes.
just watch the matches. But
Yes.
it'll be interesting to see how these shows are formatted with the way that this is structured.
I'm very
So,
curious for that.
because they
Yeah.
kind of, I mean, set themselves up to have to pace it
Right.
decently.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so
Especially because of the, like you said, I mean, it's 2 blocks a night. And so, yeah, that'll be really interesting to see. And it'll be interesting to see how certain wrestlers work within the 20-minute time
yeah,
constraints and
this
stuff.
is gonna
And
test
obviously,
their
just because they're 20 minutes
creativity.
time limit doesn't mean that matches will go 20 minutes, but it gives a little bit more urgency to the matches, because New Japan likes certain matches, they like to take their time and have their false finishes, and
Yep.
or it takes them 10 minutes to really get going, and they're gonna have to kind of cut that out. And like,
It'll minimize like breath bumps and stuff, because they
yeah,
don't really have time for
right.
that shit.
Right, exactly. It's
Which
gonna be, yeah, I think Zack Sabre Jr. is gonna thrive really well in this setting,
this will
because
be a
he's
good.
already used to it. So I think he'll do really well. And this might be, I think that's probably good for Tana, because Tana needs to he's not gonna he needs to take some be careful. And even Will Ospreay, he's still coming back from the shoulder
Shoulder.
stuff.
Yep.
And this is a grueling tournament. So,
Yes.
even the 20 minutes will probably benefit him some too, because he's gonna hopefully. So what is so I gave my prediction of who I think wins. Who is your prediction to win?
I'm gonna stick with the Osprey, like everybody's standard sort of Osprey win, because I think it is time for him to beat Okada and have his like moment with that stuff. And
Mhm. Yeah,
even regardless of the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, I think
right.
that
I mean,
I
that's
think
definitely
that the possibilities of where
story.
he's going with some of the other stuff, but maybe that's too obvious. I like your prediction. Like, I would love if it was someone like Suji, or I don't know, go crazy, put like Ren Narita, or
Right.
even Shota. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I like the idea of it being someone new, and I think that would be a lot of fun. And it's not like you win the belt because of it. You win
Yeah.
a chance at the belt.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So that
You
would be
still gotta
I
win.
mean,
You
like,
gotta win the
the Will
suitcase to
Ospreay
make
story
sure.
makes a ton of sense, and I could see that being the route that they go. But
But it could also just be like, it's so obvious that they'll like, which I'm happy with, because I like
sure.
when the obvious stuff becomes like, Gato's really good at that anyway, where he was
Yeah.
like, or he gives you exactly what you thought, but he does it in a way that you were not thinking he was going to give it to you at all. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
He's
I
good at
mean,
that.
it could be a surprise win and not a like dominant win.
Yeah.
So.
I think that if they're not going the Will Ospreay route, I just feel like the way they're pushing Suji. I mean, maybe he just finishes really well. Maybe he makes it all the way to like the semis or something like that. But if it just
Gets in
feels
a
like
feud with someone important.
they just make him feel like they're trying to make him a really big deal. And I think one of the ways that you do that is you just have him shock everybody and win the G1 and everybody be like, well, this was Will Ospreay's tournament. And they're like, no, it's Suji.
Well, because then that makes Will have to go after Suji too. And
right.
So, I mean, that sets up the most obvious, like, the let's make sure show. Seems like an obvious, like,
right.
Maybe Will, if Will was close or was in the final and loses to Suji, for example, or something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
That could be a way to like have that rematch right there, right before Wrestle Kingdom. And
yeah. Oh yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah, so I'm really interested to see how this this tournament plays out because there's a few different ways. Even though there's a super obvious story, they could still do some other stuff that I think
the roster is really solid this year, though, for the most part. I mean, there's obviously I'm always going to have gripes, but
yeah,
in general, I think it's going to be fun. I like.
Yes, me too. Really looking forward to this one. So we'll definitely be next week. We'll probably it'll probably be the week after where we actually talk about more of the G1 matches because she and I and either one of us are going to get to it before the show.
We won't be totally caught up, and I mean, whether we have spoilers or not, like I'm not going to spend Sunday doing spoilers because most people will be watching throughout the day anyway. So it's probably better that we talk about the first weekend, the weekend after. And there's plenty going on in wrestling.
Sure, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, and
and you never know. I mean, at any moment, something could just completely go awry.
Hopefully somebody named like Vince McMahon behaves himself. It seems like every time it gets kind of quiet, something happens. So, like, listen, it's busy enough. We already know that you're trying to go to have WrestleMania in London now because
AEW is going.
You don't want AEW to have that. You don't want them to have that record. You're not gonna
the 92 SummerSlam.
Yes, so I'm sure that's coming. That I was like, John Cena didn't say. I mean, somebody pointed out that London had offered to host it before, and they said no. But I'm like, you don't think that they won't go revisit that?
That's because they make people pay them to get.
I was like, John
They're
Cena
not
said
like
that for
normal
a reason.
thingy. They get people to pay. Like you have to pay them. I'm like,
exactly.
What? Yeah. When I heard that for the first time, I was like, well, two things. One, I was like, that's freaking crazy. And the other thing was, that is the most WWE thing ever.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
So, I mean, it was like, I wasn't surprised. I was just like surprised. Like,
but it seems so, it is surprising. And then you're like, that's completely on brand.
That's so... sounds about WWE.
Yeah, I was like, no wonder Charlotte has never hosted, because you would think, like, with all the history Charlotte has with wrestling, and now there's Bank of America Stadium, so they could have it there. I was like, you would think, and then I was like, yeah, but then you have them vying for it like it's the Olympics, and they have to choose your city, and that's crazy.
Oh, Vince.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Yeah, I will not be surprised one bit if in the next few years there's a WrestleMania in London or in the UK somewhere at Wembley, somewhere where they can outdo.
Yeah, outsell them now.
Oh boy! All right. Well, I think that about sums it up for us this week.
I think so.
Thanks for hanging out with us. And definitely, like we said, make sure you go check out definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel because that helps us, especially because it's just Mel and I right now. We're the only live show every week. So your subscriptions help us. And it helps everybody in the network because there's all kinds of content here, but it helps us directly because it is just us. And then also make sure that you are going over to the Patreon, especially if you're a non-subscriber and want to see if you potentially want to spend $5 a month or pay for a year subscription. They're doing, like Mel mentioned at the beginning of the show, they're doing one free show every single week in the month of July. Right now it's the Dynamite show. We think you can still access that. And then they will make the announcement on
I think
Twitter
it's the 76 WCW superstars that I think Keela and Scott did it.
Oh, nice.
Or WWE Super. It might be WWE Superstars. Like 1987 or something. Like it's, but it's something like that. It's a special. It's one of our special. Like they watched an old show, and it's on. If you listen to one of the free feed shows from this week, they've all been saying it. And of course, I forgot to write it down because I'm awesome.
That's all right. Well, and that's another reason we say to follow us on Twitter. Well, and follow Fight Game Media, because they will tweet. Garrett will tweet out whatever the free show is this week.
Yeah.
So make sure that you are doing that. And you can see everything. Yeah, Nikki said that the city of Charlotte said nah about WrestleMania, and then she said I'd only want it for all the indie shows.
Yeah.
I think we've already said this, but yeah. I mean, I do want to go to WrestleMania because it is a wrestling fan bucket list thing.
You should. I mean, you should.
Yeah, so for that purpose, I would want to just do it, but I would probably be at more of the indie shows than anything I would like to be at. Because those are always fun, and I would love to do like a spring break show. God,
that'd be so cool. It would be.
I would love to do. Yeah, I was like, I really want to do like a spring break, and I want to do like all those like the Effie's Big
Go to the
Brunch and stuff
or something.
Yeah, they've got, and then so and Supercard. They do Supercard of Honor now. They've moved that to Mania weekend, so those things would be cool. So it would be worth it for that. But then, God, I can't imagine what the transportation. The Charlotte does not have good public transport. City for public transportation is not great. So that would be probably a nightmare.
Yeah, that'd be tricky in Detroit. I wonder how they would do it, but I don't know. Cities somehow seem to work these things out if they really want to.
They have venues that are, because like they could do Concord, because that's where GCW and DPW run when they come here, because it's like a half an hour outside of Charlotte. So I could see them doing that. And then like Bojangles Arena is where AEW runs shows, so ROH could run there. I'm just gonna book this for you, Charlotte.
There we go. We got to figure out. So Sam and Nikki can go to WrestleMania. Let's go.
Exactly.
Get this done. Pay Vince McMahon so he'll come there for WrestleMania.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Before I come up with any more ideas, we should probably end this. But thank you for hanging out with us, and we will see you next week.
That is true. Thanks for hanging out.